Hey Mercedes folks, working on the ML4 Dirty project. As you can see, I've got two shocks here. Top black one being the stock one. That one's only a couple, maybe a few months old. There's nothing wrong with it, except it doesn't really have any damn travel to it, and I'm trying to four-wheel here. Did some measuring on them. This stock factory shock has an entire 2 inches of travel to it. Compressed is 13, and that's from the center line of the bolt to the top of this guy. So that's 13 when it's compressed, and decompressed as it sits right now is 15 inches. So yeah, it's got a whopping 2 inches of travel. This blue shock is a rear shock from a 97 Toyota 4Runner, and its measurements, if I can get the glitter off of there, 12.5 compressed, so we've got an extra half an inch there, and we're safe for compression, and a whopping 20 inches when fully decompressed. Now what's that going to do for us trying to four-wheel, the ones that are lifted? It's going to allow the shock to actually do some work while it's at full droop. I had an issue when I tightened up my torsion bars. I indexed them and I went too far. The shock was completely run out all the way, and there was no work that it could actually accomplish. And it was all the way out to its full max capacity and wasn't offering any kind of shock absorption at all. It was actually very bumpy because it was limited. Basically, the suspension was fighting the shock. So I still have clearance there, barely any, but it does clear. Kind of got some wires running there. I think that's where they're supposed to go. But anyways, it bolts right in. For the bottom, I did have to do a slight modification to make it work, because that bolt is 9/16 in diameter. I'm sorry for you guys running a metric system, which is probably the majority of you. But 9/16, and that is a 3/4 hole. That is the rubber bushings that come with the Toyota shock. So you can see that one is 3/4, that hole 9/16. So the bolt would be flopping around in here. What I ended up doing was going to the hardware store, getting some brass bushings that were 3/4 outside and 1/2 inch inside. They didn't have any that were 9/16. So brought them home, stuck them in the press, and it went through super quick like butter. And now that plops right in there, and it's got a 9/16 hole in it, and it works out perfectly. Now, as far as it rides, I can't tell you yet. I don't know how these are valved in comparison to the stock ones, but I'll let you guys know. If it doesn't work out, there is an entire world of shocks out there for a 97 4Runner. Like I said, I used to have one, off-roaded it for a long time, and yeah, there's just so many different options for it. You can see in the top, uses all the factory Mercedes stuff. So it's the washer, rubber grommet, and then on top you got the other top washer, grommet, another washer, and the nut came with the shock. Also down here used, of course, on the back. Oh, sorry, let me see if I can get you a camera here. On the back of the bolt, that shiny thing, that fits into, I guess you would call it the receiving end on the lower control arm. You need to keep that. That's from Mercedes, comes with the vehicle. You'll have it with you. Make sure that goes back in there, because that is, it's basically, it mates to it. It's, you'll see if you take it off. It's kind of V-shaped, kind of drawing a blank. My vocabulary shitting out on me today. It's a convex hole. It's fitted in there, so just keep the damn thing. Then install the 2 brass bushings, one on the front, one on the back, and make sure to use your old Mercedes washer and your old Mercedes bolt. Tighten everything up. It all goes in real nice. I knew my shock was at its limit, especially when I took this all apart. I didn't have any weight on the wheel, so it was all on the nut that was on the top. All the weight from the torsion bar trying to pull this whole assembly down, all the stress was on the nut up there. So as I was loosening it, the shock's being pulled down by the force of the torsion bar. And yeah, she popped on me, but I was expecting it. That's really it, man. I'll get back to you guys with a quick report on how she rides. Hopefully it's good. If you're following me on the Facebook pages, you'll know that I also lost 3 of my 5 lug bolts. Those guys. One was just completely missing. 2 broke off in there. One was holding on for dear life, and the other one was loose. Luckily, I noticed that the steering wheel was shaking like hell. Pulled over, stole one of the bolts from the back, put it up front, and put it at home. And from all the shaking and wobbling, or this is pre-existing, I don't know. But I would measure that it's from all the wobbling. I don't know if you guys can see it, but yeah, there's some looseness there in my outer tie rod end now, in that little ball joint. So I think I'm going to do inner and outers, at least this one, and definitely work on the issue of getting this negative camber out of here, which means I have to elongate these adjustment slots outwards this way to be able to let the upper control arm come outbound, and tip the tires back up where they're supposed to be, because you can see how far that one's in. So that's holding the camera as straight as I can, and the tires are tipped in pretty damn good at the top. That's geometry Mercedes came with. I don't like it. It's really not a lot of travel with this setup, but highly doubt they intended me to be doing this with it. We'll get it all figured out, and I'll let you guys know how it rides. Peace.